Oh yeah, I like that. That's fantastic. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Happy Life Show. This is episode 3 of the Miraculous series, and in this episode I would like to share with you how I met Ozay, how miraculously my life changed without me consciously making that happen, just going with the flow because of desperation. And in the moment when it all happened, you don't know how miraculous it is when things go in a completely different direction. So I hope you like it. Please, if you do, just stay tuned. We will be back in a minute. Thank you. See you in a minute. Bye.
Please don't overdo it. It isn't that good.
Can I just say, you look absolutely fabulous.
Oh man, and how does she look?
No, look.
Let's introduce you to my beautiful, isn't she scrumptious, my goddess?
Oh,
I worship you.
no.
My goddess Ahiranta.
Oh, thank you.
And she's not just a good cook and a good boobs and lots of everything that's good in a woman.
Oh my
She
gosh.
cooks good. You should taste her, what's that meal? That
Suriname
Suriname
food.
meal.
His favourite.
I love it.
Nasi.
Nasi, oh wow. And, oh man, she's just so brilliant.
Oh, thank you.
And she's great. Great.
And
She's a goddess.
this beautiful and handsome looking fella is my absolutely gorgeous and very compassionate man, Ozay Tulku Rinpoche. He's my king of my castle. And look at the hat.
Oh yes, right. This is my beautiful hat.
We went to Ferrum. That was not our first drive in the old pensioners.
Oh yeah.
Old pensioner pass.
Yeah,
bus pass.
Yeah, we go one of them. You stick it there like that.
And every little bit helps, so off we went. I had a good day. We went to Ferrum with the bus. And in the charity shop, we found this bowler hat. No, it's not a charity shop. It's
no.
Robin's Nest in Ferrum.
And we like charity shops, so Dan and Mazzy.
Oh, everything we wear is from charity shops except these jeans. They come from
Beverly.
our wonderful niece and nephew Paul in Beverly.
We don't make much of a carbon footprint. We recycle everything
Very
because we can't
recycle.
afford to anyway.
Yeah, but doesn't it look fabulous? He has such a great head for hats, you know.
I
love
look
it.
better on this side.
Oh, we have to change chairs. Would you like to change chairs?
I look like Charlie Chaplin, don't I?
Yes, you do a bit.
I need some eye makeup on.
Mark Boland.
Mark Boland.
Oh, can I tell you a little story before we start with this miraculous series? Episode 3.
Oh, you're not going to talk about
Boy George.
I knew it. Boy George.
Yeah, but you were not the only one we discovered.
Yeah. I found out that I wasn't the only one. So, yeah.
Who was it? It was another famous person who said they absolutely fell in love with a woman. And she was the lead singer of the Culture Club. And Ozay did the same thing. He thought she was well hot. And that was in the time he was in prison. Dartmoor. He was in, and he thought the lead singer of the Culture Club
she was gorgeous, man.
Hot.
I would have given her one.
Yeah.
2 even.
Only to turn out it was Boy George. Oh, we always joke about that.
I'm not gay, okay?
No.
I'm not gay.
No, he likes pushy way
Gays
too
are
much.
okay. I ain't got nothing against gays, but I'm not one.
No.
Okay?
Well, I have nothing against gay, but I'm not inclined to have sex with a woman.
I like women.
Yeah, that's right.
I like 2 women as well. I'll be honest with you.
I think this conversation is going into the direction away from the miraculous.
I'll be honest with you. A woman, right? She orgasms in 25 minutes, right?
What?
A guy, no, I'm talking in general now. A woman orgasms generally in 25 minutes.
It takes 25 minutes to get a woman to orgasm?
Yeah.
Only with stimulation with the penis then?
And a guy, and a guy...
Vibrator does it in...
Stop cutting in.
20 seconds?
No, it's not. It's 2.5 minutes. Okay? And a guy lasts 2.5 minutes. Right.
How is that?
Evolution speaks the truth, yeah? How did that happen? I mean, like, you've got stories of guys in the past who have harems of women, but let's face it, 2.5 minutes, 25 minutes.
Women should have a harem of men.
It don't make sense.
Isn't it?
I think we have been lied to.
Hey, Las.
Yeah?
We girls should have a harem of men.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It's about time. It's about time, girls, we rise up. Anyway, this
Rasa
is...
von Werder. Look, check her
Oh,
out.
Rasa. Hello,
Rasa
Rasa. I'm not sure. I'm not sure Rasa knows about our channel.
She's a woman who knows she's a goddess.
Yeah. She's extremely intelligent.
Yeah, and she stands up for women's rights.
Yeah.
And she stood up as Sophie, what was her? Sophie Evetts?
No, Kelly.
Kelly Evetts in the 1970s. When,
she was one of the first famous...
She fought for women's rights.
And she has a gorgeous body. Gorgeous body. Yeah. Still, she's way in her 70s, I think, now.
She is now, but
she
she's
looks
still fighting.
Amazing. She looks
and
amazing.
they took her on that programme and they
slaughtered her.
What do you call them? Like male chauvinist pigs they were in them days in the 70s and the 80s.
Oh, they slaughtered her, just like they did with David Icke, isn't it?
Check out Kelly Evetts. Yeah, you want to check her. She's a brilliant woman, she is.
Anyway, this is episode 3 of our Miraculous series, and I would love to talk about how I met you. I think it's miraculous how we were put together. We didn't do that.
No.
That was another power.
You've got to put yourself inside Ahiranta as she opens up before you the story of her life and how she met this wonderful guy.
Yep. Okay, here we go.
Please.
Way back, I am from Holland, in the Netherlands, and I went on a bus trip, and the bus trip was to London. And when we drove onto the mainland of Britain, some really strong feeling came over me. And now you have to imagine, right, that your husband sits next to you and you see the landscape coming by and you say, and you cannot control it. I could not keep it in. And I was just, again, all of a sudden, I was 7 years old and I was saying things like, this is where I belong. This is where I belong. I recognize this landscape. This is where I belong. And then just remember, there is a Dutch man sitting next to you as down to earth as you can possibly imagine. And his wife all of a sudden says things like that. Anyway, eventually I got grip of myself and we went through the few days in London and returned to England. And months later, I'm not totally sure of the time scale, but all of a sudden I would be in a meeting at work and I had to give a presentation, and Dutch is the language, and I would start, all of a sudden I said something in Dutch and an English word would just plant itself into the sentence, and that kept happening and I couldn't understand why that was, what was going on, very strange. Also, I got a real draw towards Waterstone bookshop, which is still my favorite, where I would...
English?
Yeah, they're only English books in Amsterdam.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
That's why it's my favorite store, still is.
Oh, wow.
And I got a draw to English books, and in those days, we are talking about 1990s, and there was no bol.com, which is a Dutch book online store, or we didn't have Amazon. The internet as we know it now just didn't exist.
Not like it is now.
No, and the libraries in Holland, they didn't have a big selection of English books, so I would just take a day off. I didn't tell the rest of the family, my husband and daughter, because they would like to come. And it's not that I didn't love them, but I just needed that day to spend in a bookstore. And if you are the only one who's completely passionate about books, you feel really as if you put it upon other people, so you don't enjoy it as when you would go on your own. So I would take a day off, don't tell anybody, would go to Waterstone, sit there seriously hours and hours, and Waterstone had little seats in the store to provide a seating area for their customers, which the other Dutch stores, bookstores didn't have. So I really enjoyed that. And so I started being drawn to English books. Then our daughter became old enough to choose a university, and I stimulated her to go and study in England. Now looking back, I understand why. And England, I wanted to go to holiday to England. I wanted to study in England, and that was just all not possible in the life that I was leading at the end of the 1990s. And then an illness took over. And
why did the illness happen?
Oh, that's another talk. They can look that up in other talks. So an illness happened, and I became so weak that even at the office I had to lay my head down on my desk. I couldn't keep my body up straight anymore, and in the end I just had to go on leave, sick leave.
So like you couldn't do your work, you couldn't function properly?
No, I had to go on sick leave. And I ended up being alone at home, desperate. Nobody knew what was going on. The illness progressed, became worse and worse. And then the marriage ended because of the illness. He didn't want to be with me anymore.
Why did it end?
He didn't like me anymore. He said, I don't like you anymore, I don't want to be with you anymore. I think because he couldn't. It doesn't matter. That's another talk. So he couldn't deal with what was going on, and I left. I left the house. I went in the little summer house of my parents, and by that time I was on the internet. I tried to write. Everybody kept telling me you should write. You should write. I had nothing to write about because. I think most people have that idea that they don't think they're interested. Who is interested to hear about my life or what I have to say? And I never thought about writing fiction. I always thought about non-fiction. So I was sitting, I remember the first computer I had, those big blocks, I was sitting, we made a little space under the chair, under the stairs, and I was waiting for inspiration, the worst thing you can do. Because that's not how it happens. Now I know, because I have done a master degree in creative writing. But in those days I didn't know all that. So I was waiting and waiting, and I remember opening, because I was desperate for a company to talk to people, because I was on my own all day. I had nobody to talk to. My husband lost interest to spending time with me, and I created a chat room. In those days you didn't have Facebook, you didn't have Instagram, you didn't have all that. You had Yahoo, You had Yahoo groups, didn't we, in those days?
Yeah, that's right, Yahoo.
And I opened a chat room somewhere. I don't know how or why or where. And all of a sudden, Ozay came in. I didn't know that.
Two of us.
I didn't know that. I don't remember. Ozay always says there was two people.
I was going through a phase at the time.
I only remember Ozay. I'm going to give you a word in a minute to tell your side of the story.
Yeah.
And he came into my chat room and he started talking about his grieving process. He lost his wife, Kay, to cancer. And I talked about him. We never talked sex. Never, ever. No. He talked about Kay and I talked about my grieving of that my life fell apart. And we tried to listen to each other. That's how I got comfort.
Yeah.
He listened to me and I listened to him. That's how it went. And then my husband ended the relationship and then I asked Ozay to help me book a hotel in England. Because I thought I wanted to be in England. And Ozay always had his his own building company, but while his wife went through the cancer, he stopped and he had taken a job as a personal trainer. So he said, "I can help you. I will work with you." Of course, he also fancied me, but he had gone 2.5 years without sex. So
there's a story.
That's right. You will tell that in a minute. And then he helped me to book a hotel, and I was coming here in England for 6 weeks to work on my health, try to restore it. But how I saw it, when I came here to England and looked into his eyes, he waited for me to pick me up from the airport because he knew how ill I was. I just knew I had come home. It was just, I cannot describe the feeling. It was just as if I had been traveling to that point all of my life. And I recognized him all of a sudden as well, because I will tell you, I take you back now when I was a little girl under the age of 10. And I had a vision in which, and it was kept coming back, that vision, and that vision showed me a man, and his face was blurred out, and it makes sense because the man that had to still come into existence, because the boy that had to become the man that I saw in my vision was still only 11 years old, something like that, 12. So the face, I will try to explain. So I had a vision in which I saw you, but your face was blurred out because you were only a boy.
What,
I couldn't see. In the vision you was a man.
Yeah.
But you were not a man. I can't eat it, remember?
Okay.
Yeah. So, and a man came and scooped me up in his arms. I was severely ill. In the vision, I was paralyzed, couldn't do nothing, and the man scooped me up and took me away and said, "Everything will be alright." And then when I met Ozay, that was the man I had seen decades before in a vision. Isn't that wonderful? And on top of that, I also had images coming, and the images were a white fence on a white cliff. Like the cliffs of Dover. I didn't know anything about that.
South of England is very famous for its white cliffs, especially the Isle of Wight.
Yeah, but I didn't know any of that.
We live around yours. White cliffs.
White cliffs. So the white cliffs in the vision, and a man comes walking up to me from. I'm looking out over the sea and.
From behind.
Well, I stare over the sea in the vision, and we are living by the sea. And the man comes up and puts his arms around me, and a real feeling of safety comes over me. Exactly the same feeling I experienced when I met you on Luton Airport for the first time. And all those miraculous things came together. And then later on, Ozay told me stories about his late wife Kay, and I am 5'9", and Kay, bless her soul, she was always said she was
just under 5 foot.
one cigarette butt under 5 foot. Was
Yeah.
She would say she was one cigarette butt under 5 foot. So she was
She
quite
hated it as well because
quite small. And you can take it over. What would Kay say when she talked about her height?
she hated how people wouldn't notice her, and how sometimes I remember at the till-in, like for instance, we go shopping, and if the cashier didn't give her the change properly, she'd chuck it back at her, and she'd have something to say, and no, she had to put people right,
She treated her with disrespect because she was small.
She was below everyone else,
Yeah.
and like she'd go and do the marketplace, and they'd say, "Yeah, I love that," and she'd say, "I love that," and they wouldn't see her, and well, there's a lot of women who's that height, so but sometimes it's
She disliked
it's a stigma to some
Yeah.
because I know myself. I mean, I'm not tall for a guy. I'm 5'7", and they say about small guys having little guy syndrome and all that, but it's not actually small guy syndrome so much as big guy syndrome, because you don't get treated the same. A big guy will treat a big guy with respect because it's macho shit. But if a big guy comes up to a small guy, he treats him with disrespect because he thinks he can overpower him. And in actual fact, that gives a small guy, in a way, anger, because we deserve respect. And if you big guys think that you can overpower us with your size, well, we've got so much power inside of us because of that feeling of being disrespected. We make a point about it. Then that's the saying you hear is little guy syndrome, and little guy syndrome only starts because of big guy syndrome, and that's basically how it is with human beings, with males as well as females. So I only brought myself into it.
So what did Kay say about how she would be?
She wouldn't say how she would be because
Yes, she did.
And what are you remembering?
She would come back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And she often said it actually. She never said it once. She said, if I come back again, she said, I'm going to be a big person and people will take notice of me. And funniest thing is that Ahiranta, she felt she was taken over like by a spirit.
Yeah.
And she's a big person.
Oh,
people take notice of her.
I am definitely, because when I grew up, I thought I was too big. I always stood out, and Dutch people in general are quite tall compared to other races, other
the
cultures.
tallest race of people on the planet, on average.
It must be in Europe, because the Maasais must be absolutely tall.
Some of them guys are 7 foot.
Yeah. My brothers are all, well, I have 2 6-foot brothers, but
I got a stiff neck looking up at them like this all the time.
I do feel that Kay had something to do with me coming here, because she said if I come back, because she died young, she was 45 when she passed from cancer. When I come back tall. And I do remember certain happenings that Kay had a hand in getting me here. I am not Kay, but I do feel, and I felt a few times, that her energy guided me in certain directions. So definitely, I think she chose me to come here. I think also that it was all destined for me to come here.
Funny thing I remember about Kay was her hand, and she had long hands, long fingers. I mean, for a small woman. Not that she was that small, she wouldn't.
No, she was perfectly formed, you always say.
Yeah, she had perfect symmetry, and she had, her hands. And then when she died, it was about her hands. She pointed her fingers. She had this certain way of pointing her fingers, and that was the last physical thing I remember about her, was her finger pointing somewhere. I can't remember where. And it was interesting when I met you, and it was the first thing was the hands, And I didn't bring that into it.
And it remembered you, yeah.
You always brought the hand into it.
Yeah.
You always speak about when you touched my hand.
Yeah.
And, you know, there was that part of it.
Yeah.
And I remember for me personally, like it was 2.5 years, you know, it had been between when Kay had passed away and you had turned up. And that was really, you know, I mean, so difficult because it's like you don't divorce, you know, you don't break up.
Your love doesn't stop.
No.
No.
And you don't, there's no fallout, there's nothing. All you know is that we are both Kay and myself, we are fighting this intruder called cancer. And he put himself in there, you know, he didn't belong there, you know, and it shouldn't have been there, you know, it was a person neither of us wanted. And I saw where it came from because I was blessed in a way, or cursed, if you want to call it that, because I saw where everything came from. And I knew before Kay ever had cancer that she would get the cancer. Why did I know? Not because I was given the gift of psychic ability and to be able to see the future, which sometimes I do. Although, yet again, I say that, I think that I didn't see the future. It was maybe I guessed it. And I think I guessed it, and my guesses are often very true. So it's hard to say between if it was guessing or if it was psychic ability or whatever. And I remember one day, and she used to have problems. There was stress, a lot of stress from the oldest daughter in the family. And I spoke about this in one of the very early videos. And I saw a relationship between, and a lot of people are aware today of the relationship between stress and disease. And I formulated a knowledge from it, and over those years of seeing cause and effect, the cause was the family, the attachment to the oldest daughter, and that oldest daughter was spoiled, and not because it was Kay's doing, it was because Kay was a mother living on her own before I met her, and the daughter, her daughter, she had help from her parents, not her parents, her parent and her stepfather.
Grandparents.
Yeah, grandparents. Grandparents to the daughter, parents to Kay. And I saw that they were jealous in a way. They wouldn't like the parents I was used to. My parents were kind of wiser, sensible, down to earth, as you expect people to be. And of course, maybe I was naive in thinking that all people in that age, in that generation, should be like that. And so they took some kind of pride in being able to take the grandchild from the mother and to turn the child against the mother and to push shit in the child's head and to make the child think that her bad behaviour was okay. And they didn't correct the grandchild, and they didn't support the daughter. They wanted to take the granddaughter from the daughter and own it. That's my granddaughter, and your mother is shit. And it's not true. It was just, how do you call it, wanting to be loved, wanting to own something. And it's human nature, you know, of course, it's all, you know. And of course, so when I first came to live with Kay, I saw it straight away that there was something strange going on with this daughter and with Kay. And the grandparents, and that behaviour was something not quite right there. And so they were owning. And am I taking it away from you, this story?
No.
But because it's all part of it. And and also I think that people can learn from this, because this will affect you. And your children will manipulate you, and cause and effect can cause that you become diseased. And Kay became diseased from that relationship with her daughter and the grandparents down there who wanted to control, who wanted possession of the daughter. Not that Kay would ever deprive him of that. She was a class A mother. She was fair, she was morally correct. The parents, the grandparents, they wanted more than what a grandparent is generally allowed. They wanted complete ownership of the granddaughter. They wanted everything. They didn't want a little bit, they wanted everything. And because of that, they mistreated the daughter. And they would convince the granddaughter that her stupid childlike mind was okay. I will stay with you, grandma, grandpa, because you give me all the sweeties and all the goodies. Mummy doesn't give me that, she gives me correction, and that's not nice. So why should I be with mummy when I can be with grandmummy? And so over the years I saw that when an incident would come up, the grandparents would stand for what was wrong, incorrect behaviour from the grandchild. The mother had a conflict, and each time the conflict would happen, the mother, Kay, she would get mouth boils. And this kept happening over and over again. You know, she would get mouth boils. She had beautiful teeth. And, but every time the daughter misbehaved, which was backed, is this okay? Was backed by the grandparents, and then she would get a mouth boil. And then one day, the granddaughter, she got older, and she kept the same behaviour, abusing the mother in a way immorally, incorrect behaviour, incorrect attitude, and incorrect ideas. And she met her boyfriend, and the same behaviour transferred into that relationship between the three again. And I saw it right from the start, and I wish that I could have. I thought I should have done something about it, and but I didn't, because I felt like she was already 10 years old, you know, and I felt like that I shouldn't rock the boat type thing. But if, you know, with hindsight now, I can look back and say, yeah, I should have done that, but it's easy with hindsight. I could have saved Kay's life, and I said to Kay, this one day, the mouth boils became so bad she had to have all the teeth out. All the teeth became loose, and she was only like 40 something then. And I said to Kay, I said, what's going to happen next? I said, and I saw this relationship because I saw cause and effect. I'd had the enlightenment. I sacrificed that enlightenment for the attachment to Kay, and the family thing, and the work thing, and the life thing. So enlightenment is non-attachment, and I became attached, because what else was there for me? Like, there's nowhere in Britain I can live in a cave, you know, like they do in the Himalayas, and stay the enlightened being and become a body of light. And so I said, and I have the ability to recognize cause and effect. I said to Kay, what's going to happen now? All your teeth are gone. This has been going on for years and years and years. You've been taking this shit from them lot. And that's my working class background, by the way, you know. I'm not like Jesus. I know I had enlightenment, but I don't speak like Jesus, and I don't float on a cloud. And I said to her, I said, what's going to happen now? You're going to get cancer, like, you know, all your teeth are gone now. And I wasn't nasty, but I feel nasty about it now, because it's like, you wish you could go back and make that point there more stronger and change the course of direction. And I can't go back. We can't go back. We can only do the future, the now. And I do the now with you guys now, and I'm speaking now to change your future.
Yeah, in the hope somebody will learn from it.
Yeah. And so, and then what happens, like, you know, it wasn't long after that, we sat across the freaking table from a specialist. We just came back from Cyprus, which was one of those miracle things. Are we still talking about miracles?
I am.
Yeah, okay, here's another miracle. right? And I felt like with Kay, during that period that I'm talking about, that I'd never taken Kay on holiday, right? And I thought, it's bad, like, you know. She's 40 something.
But she didn't want to, eh? She was a homely
she
girl.
was a homely girl, you know. She liked being a mother. She liked doing the simple things. She never needed anything fancy to make her happy. She was a simple, homely girl.
Yeah.
And
she was happy with £10 to the market.
I felt bad, like, you know. I went through this period, and I felt bad, like, you know, that she's never seen anything of the world. And I thought, I remember making a point, I'm going to trick her, like, you know, and I'm going to make an excuse. And I said to her one day, I said, the next time I get a big lot of money, because I was a self-employed builder, and I would work for money, get a load of money, spend it, stop working, spend it, and then I would
spend time with Kay.
And spend time with the family, because the Enlightenment taught me that was more important than becoming rich.
Collecting money.
Yeah, so it was about, and I think as well, because of the Enlightenment that I had, that it is a sin to hold lots of money and to watch your brothers and sisters in Africa, in India,
around the corner,
in Brazil, around the corner, down the street, whatever.
That's why I give the money away.
Starving. This woman here, she does me in. She does me in. She does. She's so generous. She's still got it. I lost it, to be honest with you.
Oh,
I don't. I suffer with my instincts of, like all guys do. Us guys.
You feel responsible for me.
Yeah,
and that's why you think you need a safety net.
You need a safety net, like, you know.
Yeah.
Without safety net, you're going to have total... Something flew by then.
Sorry if you hear the fly, but there's a fly in the studio.
Anyway, like, so that's my lack of faith. If I become insecure. And but yet, the faith is the thing that makes magic happen, which I'm struggling against sometimes. And I know that I can make it happen by having total faith and letting go completely. And so, where was I in this discussion?
Now you now thought in the story that you wish that you had protected Kay differently.
Yeah,
that you would have taken her. You wish that you would have taken her away to Wales to live in Wales.
Yeah,
but But you knew she was attached. Although her mother treated her badly, you knew Kay was attached to her mother.
Yeah, and I couldn't take Kay away from
her family.
She was trying, she was a good woman.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that just because she was my wife. We wouldn't have been together, I don't think, if she wasn't a good woman. And I thought that I should take her away at one point from that, because I saw how corrupt that situation was, and I saw how it was having an impact on her.
Detrimental to Kay,
like the mouth boils. Every time there was, the daughter was causing stupid shit that didn't need to happen, Kay would get mouth boil. And then I said, I knew, something in me knew that when she would lose all her teeth, there wasn't going to be mouth boils anymore, it was going to be something else. The body was going to react in another way to tell her, ease off, let me free the body, because I'm going to kill you otherwise. And of course she got cancer, and then she passed away. They said 18 months, she passed away in 6 months, and God bless. And yeah,
it was very difficult for you, the grieving process. And as you can see, even now, Kay passed away in 1998. So that is 24 years coming up this October. But still, it can crap you around the throat. We are talking about a love relationship. You had a fantastic love relationship, and people don't understand how I can talk about that, because people think she is competition or whatever. No. She is part of our relationship. Not that there is 3 in this relationship, but Kay was loved in this home where we have built our little studio, and Kay and Ozay had a really good relationship
Yeah, I mean,
together.
I had psychics. After she passed away, there was lots of phenomena going on. Everything electric would break down. The lights was kept popping. You know, I mean, like on average, a light would pop every 2 or 3 years. During this time, after she passed away, lights was popping every couple of days. And light after light after light. Electric washing machines, fridges, dishwasher, everything was just pissing up and messing up all the time. I brought a psychic over here and she said, oh, there's dark energy in this house. And I thought, yeah, it's a lot of good that is, like, you know. And it was Kay. She was trying to, like Krista Lou, the daughter, our daughter, we had this player and it had digital volume control on it, and if you turned the volume
Music
up,
player.
it would go up in numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14, 15, 20. And Kay used to, like, if you played music, you didn't play it like, she liked loud music. And I remember the neighbours a couple of times, like, you know, earlier years, they would play music and they tried to keep it low. And I used to annoy Kay. You either played the music loud so it could be heard, or you didn't play it at all. And she'd bang on the wall and say, turn the bloody music up higher, will you? And not in a Welsh accent like that, but she was English.
She was English, a Hampshire hawk.
And, you know, it's just humour.
A film? Hampshire hawk.
Yeah, Hampshire. Hey, nay, brain K. That's how they talk, like, how now, brown cow. Hey, nay, brain K. And so, anyway, that was, you know, we had all that phenomena. And, like, for me, you know, when she died, I had Krista Lou. She was 14 years old.
And her mum
15.
died, yeah.
And, you know, it was difficult.
Just turned 14.
And like Ahiranta said, you know, it was, I was still married to her, you know, she left her body.
Yeah.
But she hadn't left the house.
But it doesn't mean your love goes out of the window. You still love the woman. The woman is no longer there, but you are still stuck in your house, in your situation.
You know something? I used to, if I cook meals and stuff, I know it sounds silly to some
No, it's beautiful.
but only people who've been through it will understand this.
Yeah.
But I would lay a place for her on the table.
Yeah.
And
some people came into this house and said, you should stop making this into a shrine.
yeah, that was my brother, like, you know,
Yeah.
he thought he was doing good. And yeah, it's like a shrine and stuff like that. And
Because you kept it as
I kept
spotless
all the clothes and I kept everything, you know. And okay, what's an enlightened guy? A guy who not, you've got to realise, and a lot of people who think they know about enlightenment, they think that no, that shouldn't happen if you're enlightened, and that's what they don't understand. Enlightenment is about non-attachment, okay? And like the Buddha, they say the Buddha was enlightened when he died. No, he wasn't enlightened. The Buddha, in order to become enlightened, he had to detach from everything, unattached from everything. No ambition, no cause, just in the moment, in this here and now, in this timelessness. Sure, this is timelessness, sure. But if I have a cause, if I have an attachment, if I'm attached to a woman,
or desire to teach.
what comes with a woman? You need to a house. What comes with a house? You need to pay the rent. What comes with paying the rent? You need a job. What comes with a job? What comes with a wife? Children, money. You become attached to all of those things just by one thing.
Responsibility.
Responsibility, yeah. And so you see, there's a massive misconception out there about enlightenment, that you stay enlightened for the rest of your life once you've had it. The story of Buddha, and it's my story too, and I don't care what people think or believe, but this is my witness testimony. The story of Buddha is that he had enlightenment. He sat under that tree, absolutely still, and then the enlightenment came while you sat under the tree. And then he was walking and he said to himself, what should I do with this enlightenment? What good can it bring to the planet? should I teach it to everyone else? And he thought, no, maybe not, because people won't buy into it. And then he's walking along and he comes across this pond with water lilies, and he's asking for help, like, Lord, he was speaking to the great consciousness of the universe, because you become that, and you dissolve into that. So you're not you're that, and that brought into a pond with these lilies growing in it. And all the lilies, he was looking at them, they're all different stages. Some were right down low, some were up high, some were in bloom, and they were all at different stages. And that was his answer. The answer was that humanity is all in different stages towards enlightenment, and the final enlightenment is the blooming of the flower, and that it would be a worthy cause for it to become reattached to the world. Reattached, that means sacrifice of his enlightenment, to give to the world, so that the world may become evolved from the shit planet it is today. It still is. 2,500 years after Buddha had passed from his body, he gave 40 years of his life after enlightenment. Still, the planet is obsessed with killing, is obsessed with corruption, greed and
power.
So anyway, this is a long talk, isn't it?
No.
Long talk. And so how did I come? So here I am now. I lost my enlightenment, and I'm going through the process of grieving, and it's not a very nice place to be. So you become attached to a beautiful lady.
But that was a conscious decision, huh?
Yeah, it was conscious. I knew I was sacrificing enlightenment.
Yeah, you consciously created a new identity, a new ego.
But then it was false.
Because you had 2 children before you reached enlightenment, so you saw it as your duty to return to society and fulfill your duty towards those children.
Yeah.
And tell me about the magic about when you met Kay for the first time, before you met.
Yeah, this was something, and I know why it happened now, and because reincarnation comes into it. And the first time I saw Kay, I was in the army, and I had met Jane, and I lived 7 years with Jane before I lived with Kay. And I saw her, and
you was visiting her flat.
I was still in my army uniform,
where she lived with a little
Claire,
little daughter.
She's a beautiful little girl, angelic, blonde, long, straight hair, a beautiful face. And at the time, ABBA was into their thing, and I thought this little girl was going to be the blonde-haired girl in ABBA.
Agneta.
No, she's absolutely, and I thought ABBA was pretty cool.
Well, you couldn't say ABBA was cool in those days.
No, I had to keep that secret.
ABBA was totally uncool in those days.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah. Even though people liked their music. Yeah.
I mean, I was like, Image. Like, I'm a man.
You can't like ABBA openly.
Like ABBA if you're a real man.
But we
do
like ABBA.
And T-Rex. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to
Boy George.
Not Boy George.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so like
you went to visit. How was Kay connected to the mother of your boys?
I didn't say it, did I?
How was she connected to the mother of your boys, Kay?
Well, Jane, which was the boy's mother, her father was married to Kay's mother.
That's right. So stepsisters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And
so you went to visit Kay?
Yeah. Jane took me to visit Kay, and I'm just following like you do, follow, and I go into this house and then I'm sat there, and then I'm like looking, and I'm seeing this blue light around Kay, and she was a nice looking lady.
Beautiful, yeah.
But this blue light, and I'm like thinking, I got a child with Jane, and this is, I didn't project myself onto her or choose to fancy her or anything like that, but I'm like, in a way, not sexual or not attached or not having ideas, and so I'm like spaced from this. And then I'm looking at this woman, Kay, who's related distantly to Jane, and she got this blue light around her. And I'm like I don't see blue lights around. I don't see lights around people. I don't see auras.
He's also colorblind.
Yeah, and I don't do that shit of you know, all these energy points and all this aura shit learned from books and what have you. And this was in the 1970s, and I was nowhere near spiritual in them days. I was totally ground and totally base.
A boy from the valleys.
Yeah, a boy from the valleys,
Yeah.
macho, rugby and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm sitting in this house, like, you know, I'm looking at this woman, long blonde hair, well dressed,
Beautiful blue eyes.
Blue light around her, and I like, after I keep doing this to my eyes, and I keep doing it, and the blue light doesn't disappear, it's still there all the time. And of course I go away, and that's the end of that. I don't see her again, and I think, you know, it stays in my mind though, you know, what was that? Why was that? What was that all about?
Yeah, because you have a very questioning mind.
Yeah, I do. According to Ahiranta, I'm
Oh, definitely. Totally different mind than
well, I
anybody
don't know
else.
about you guys out there. I question things that I don't understand, and I would thought that was how everyone is, because it's how I am, and that's how I
No,
relate
it's not
to
so.
other people.
Not so.
Anyway, so like, and then, you know, I'm like living with Jane, and I end up, I'm in a crazy life really with Jane, and I'm kind of yeah, she likes the tough men, she likes the gangsters, and I went AWOL from the army, and I'm involved in all kinds of crimes that I'm not happy to admit. I don't identify with that person, because as far as I'm concerned, that person I was then is dead, but yet the soul that I am used this body to create those scenes, those acts, to become what it is today, this. And so I end up in prison, and then I have an attachment to my children, and Jane disappears. She says she has cancer, she's dying, which was absolute shit. She wouldn't die and she didn't have cancer.
And she put your children
And she
into
put my
a
children
home.
in, our children, my children, in care.
Yeah.
And one of the children she put with Kay. And somehow I started writing to Kay. I don't know if she wrote to me first or I wrote to her. I think Kay wrote to me first. I think.
To let you know where the children
It's possible
were.
that might have been the other way around.
I can see her writing you to let you know where your children
Yeah.
are. That's the kind of woman she is, isn't it?
And anyway, whichever way that was, I found out that Lee, the oldest son, was with Kay, and that the other two had been put in different foster homes, and not nice. And so I started writing and communicating with Kay, and then we became friendly. She was a really nice person. And then, of course, when I came out...
She offered you a place to stay when you was released from prison.
Yeah. And
from there you built a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, where am I now then?
That's all right.
So anyway...
When she passed away, you were struggling tremendously with your grief.
Yeah, I became really attached.
So then we connect our stories together. So that's when you found me. You found me by contacting me in the chat room.
Aye.
And then we listened to each other.
It was a process, you know. I mean, Kay had died, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I didn't know it at the time, but one of the grieving processes is lust. And I was really dealing with lust. And because I was insecure, you know, I mean, in a way, lust is having sex and making sure that you survive. and insecurity.
It's well known that people have sex after a wedding, after funerals,
after war,
after 9/11 happened. There was a baby boom.
after the war.
Yes, it's a survival instinct for the human race.
It's part of the grieving process as well. It's part of fear.
Yeah.
And I was totally being controlled for some time by that grieving process, which would be partly was lust, partly was anger, because I would have flare-ups of anger as well, and it wasn't good.
You was blaming people for her death, wasn't you?
Yeah, and although you might think that I'm blaming the daughter, but no, it's the truth. I would never tell her that, and although I might be telling her.
No, she doesn't know.
No, we are totally, how do you call it, anonymous, because our names we use here are not our real names.
That's right.
And anyway, so it was, she died, and then I became taken over by grief, which entailed anger, it entailed lust, and one or two other unsavoury things. And I remember, like, the last part of it, I would be on the net, and I would be looking at, porn, and I would be looking at, and then one day I come across this, it was like, it was like something that turned up just at that time, and there was this woman in this strange yoga position, and like lust and porn, and she got her head on the floor like this, right? She's looking up. She got her back end, her legs drop forward like this, and she's open. The pranami is open.
He means vagina.
And I'm like looking into it, like, and she's really got it open, and it's black inside, empty. And I look into it, and it was empty, and something happened, like, in my mind. It was
a
empty.
Realization.
Yeah, and it was, I don't know if it had something to do with the enlightenment that I had reached some years before, and that picture turning up and me looking into that vagina and that emptiness, and it hit something very deep and fundamental. And I saw the emptiness in the lust.
The pursuit of sex, yeah.
And so I became flat after that. And then I let it go, I was free from it. And it was just better place to be. And then one day I'm on the net, and like, I'm kind of just filling in time now. And then I'm they started doing all these chat rooms that opened up.
Just started then, yeah.
And then I come across this chat room, and then there's these other guys there. There's one with the same name as me there, and there's other guys there, and there's you there. And I go, ooh, look at her hair, like, she's like this with her hair. And
was there a picture?
Yeah, because your face was on there.
Oh.
Yeah, and
see, I don't remember that. Okay.
Yeah, well, my memory's not 100%.
That's all right.
I might have saw it sometime after.
I don't think
know.
we had...
No, it wasn't.
No, we didn't have chat rooms with...
No, you wasn't, actually.
No.
Sorry, I got that wrong. It was only sometime after I saw that your hair stood out. So
yeah.
No, that's wrong. And then, I don't know why I'm even there. Like, I just feel like I'm filling time in. And then I'm talking, and then...
you said hi.
Yeah, I said hi to her, yeah, and then...
that was it?
I actually think that you was talking. I never told you this before, but there was another guy with the same name as me. There was two of us there with the same name. And I think he talked to you first, and I talked to you second.
I don't remember that.
I think you thought I was still in.
I do not remember that
anyway,
at all.
However it happened.
Yeah. But that is not important. No. That was the beginning of our life together.
And then I accidentally bumped into you.
You found me, I always say that.
It was like, I come to realise as well after that, how do you call it, realisation of the lust, which was absolutely sucking me in terribly. And I come to realise that I was, at that time, I was thinking of me all the time, it was me, and it was hard,
Yeah, you was hard done by.
Yeah, I was hard done by. It was, my wife had died, I feel sad. I got my daughter. I got to bring my daughter up. Me this, me that, me all the way. Like, and I knew there was something wrong. And there's something wrong with me, and I had to get rid of me out of it. And then I remember like looking at Ahiranta's life, and there was something wrong with her. And her husband was, I shouldn't have. Her husband was like treating her like a twat, really.
But that's only just after,
yeah. And,
because you didn't know that at that moment.
No, I didn't know. No, all I knew was he was. You were just being social, and but that came out in time, and then I knew that in order to get rid of this great pain that I was going through at that time, I needed to get out of me.
Yeah, because you never broke up my marriage. No. I never broke up my marriage. No. You and I just talked as two grieving people. You grieved about your loss. I grieved about losing my health. And when my husband broke up the relationship, I contacted you.
Yeah.
We didn't do anything untoward there, but the miraculous thing, that's what this series is about, is how things work out. You and I were meant to meet in this life. And that is the beauty of it all. No matter what we would have done more morally, and some people might think that I find it difficult, or that he shouldn't talk about his late wife, or me personally always feel joy. I always feel joy when you talk about Kay, because you give Kay life, and she deserves to be remembered. She deserves to be part of our world. This
all cause and effect and the chain.
No, she deserves that, because I know her so well through your stories. I know her by just looking at Christalou, and there are family members who think it's cruel from Ozay to talk about his late wife. It's not. It's not cruel at all. How can somebody who is dead be a threat to me? How can she be anywhere near a competition to me? Why can't Ozay truly love two different women at the same time? Why should he stop loving his wife to be true to me? It's just that's just bollocks, isn't it? Sorry about that language, but it's nonsense. He never divorced Kay. Kay never divorced
that was the strangest thing about it. It's like you said, we never broke up, we never had bad words, we never divorced. She just was taken away against her will.
That's right.
That's the worst thing. She didn't want to go.
And the beauty of the miraculous...
That's not fair, is it?
And the beauty... No, many people go through it though, sadly enough.
I know you do.
The beauty of this situation is that the moment I rang the doorbell here on this house where I live in now, which was the family home of Ozay and Kay, Christalou opened the door as a 14-year-old getting ready for college. No, for school. And love enveloped my heart. It just filled me up. When she opened the door, she stood before me, and there was a love flowing through my body. And now looking back, I know it was Kay just flooding my body. She wanted me to love her child, because Kay was, like Ozay said, was a really hands-on mother, really good mother, everything for her children. And when she passed away, it must have been so tremendously difficult, because a psychic told you that Kay, when she passed away and ended up in the afterlife, that she was shocked. She was in shock. A medium told you she was in shock. A medium also told you, you and Kay, that Kay had to stop smoking, because Kay smoked a few cigarettes a day.
Smoked 3 to 6 cigarettes a day.
And
that was low mental.
But it's never one thing. We always say every illness has its roots in 3 things: emotional stress, environmental stress,
genetics.
And genetics. 3 things. And they have to come together for something to take hold of us. And I remember, like yesterday, it's now 22 years almost, 22 years ago, that I rang the doorbell thinking that Christelou was already to school. But I'm Dutch, just arrived here, and I forgot that England is 1 hour behind. So instead of it being 9 o'clock, it was 8 o'clock. And she opened the door and her mouth just dropped open. Seriously, she looked like this. Yeah. Looking at me, because in those days my hair was brown and I am tall. Christelou is it's not as short as her mom, but what is she, 5'5", 5'4", and I had high boots on and a long black coat, and I must have been a sight, I do remember, and she just was speechless. But the feeling that flooded my body, I knew it was Kay putting the love for her child within me. And I loved her from the moment I saw Christelou, and I adore her. She is absolutely grown into the most beautiful woman.
She have, yeah.
And she went through a really, really difficult stage. And I think that's why Kay, from the spirit world, brought me here to help Ozay bringing Crystal up, because
her presence here was very powerful, Kay, after she passed from the body.
She would open cupboards to interrupt you.
When you came here, it stopped.
Yes.
And you would think if she didn't want you here, that it would have been more.
Yeah, no. Oh no, I felt it when I walked into this house. Because Ozay just mentioned how a medium that came into the house said what a dark energy there was in the house. It wasn't. When I walked into this house, it was a beautiful, like you walk into a field, a meadow with flowers. It was the most beautiful energy in the house. The dark energy she picked up was your grieving energy, not the energy in the house.
Yeah.
And it was the most beautiful energy in the house. And I do remember that I needed a picture frame for something, because I decided because the family was scattered. And I had a master plan to bring the whole family together. Well, let me tell you, if it's not meant to happen, it won't happen. But I didn't know that then. But I took a picture of the wall, and
off the wall. There's a bit of a mess up with Dutch and English, because
what did I say?
Of the wall. I took a picture of the wall, but she took a picture off the wall, which was of clay, and she wanted the frame out of the picture
for a minute to borrow it. And I thought, because I was ill, I was housebound, I couldn't go to the shop. I thought, well, I borrowed that frame for a minute, and then as soon as Ozay can go to the shop, he will replace the frame. So at that day, Claire didn't come to visit the house, so she would not have seen that her picture was off the wall for a minute. So the moment I walked into the kitchen and wanted to take that picture out of the frame, the cupboards of the doors in the kitchen opened. And I knew straight away that that was a sign, and many people who are not inclined to this will be skeptic, but for me there's no doubt. And it was Kay telling me, no. So I remember saying, I closed the cupboard door and said, okay, Kay, I hear you. Yeah. And I went back and hung the picture back on the wall and waited until Ozay.
And that is right, because Kay did have special value in those kind of things.
Yeah.
And even though Claire was a twat to her, she was her mother. Yeah. And she was a class A mother.
Yeah.
So it was.
So there was many of those little miraculous things happening in the house, and the fact that we are together is the doing of Ozay's late wife.
Yeah.
And also past lives, because
some people might say
have been together in past lives many times.
Oh yeah. I remember past lives. Yeah. See, although that's something else. But yeah, I do remember past lives, and I do remember this lady who was also a man, who was also a lady, and we met a long time ago. Yeah. So we keep really recycling and
in my former life, I was a man.
Yeah.
A man. I was a man. And in this life, I chose to be a woman because I really truly love being a woman. I don't mean it's better than being a man, but I wouldn't choose any other way. I liked giving birth to my daughter Tamara. I love being her mom. And as a man, life is different. So
yeah. It's true. It's true. I understand that.
This conversation has to come to an end, otherwise it becomes too long.
Okay, and I think, did I wrap it up or didn't I?
I'm not sure. What would you like to add?
We got to the point of, we were trying to bring it to how we come together.
The Miraculous,
Miraculous. And I saw the open vagina and the emptiness of lust. And it gave me a realization, and then you turned up, and then
I was predicted, eh?
Yeah, I knew at that point I knew I needed to lose the one that was the taker of the pain, and the only way that could happen, and this was before actually, I realized that before I met Ahiranta that I needed to serve a greater cause than myself. And that was when my work on the internet began, and when I met Ahiranta, she had that illness, so that meant that I could take, and I tell you something, God manifested what I needed at that time to free me from that grieving process, which was not very good at all. And Ahiranta, if I didn't feed her every 4 hours, and I'm not like, I got a lot of Greek in me, and I'm not punctual, and she needed food every 4 hours. I was free every 4 hours, and
he burned everything the first few years.
I was just so on my toes all the time in the kitchen cooking, and and we would talk, and I would get, like I am now, I get involved in these talks.
Yeah, we always talked, eh?
I would try to help her with the mind, because I knew how to do that. I was, well developed in that area because of all that inner work that I'd done in prison. And of course, when you get engrossed, like now for instance, we should have only done this for 30 minutes, and it's now 1 hour and some odd minutes involved. And so we were getting, and oh God, 4 hours, I got to get her food because she'd relapse. And oh man, I would rush downstairs, and I would cook fast, high heat, and everything would burn. And I used to have to scrape everything and try to make it look as though it wouldn't. And poor Crystalou and Ahiranta.
And what would we say?
They would appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that was great, it was unfair that I had to force that.
Multitasking is not a man's
we're
man
not,
thing,
we're not
isn't
made
it?
to multitask.
He would just put something on the stove and just come and sit next to
to
me on my bed, and we always did this. We always talked, innit? Always talked.
And for couples, we spoke to Dan and Mazzy, and for couples, and I remember when I first moved in with Kay, that Kay wasn't developed intellectually in understanding her feelings, and in order to have peace within yourself and then within a relationship, you need to know what's going on. So you need to verbalize the feelings, but you get a feeling and then you have a reaction, and there's no verbalizing, there's no understanding. So you need to understand yourself by verbalizing everything that you feel. And a lot of problems come from people who feel and react without understanding it. That's what the mind is for, is to understand things and to work things out and to put words to it and then pattern it out, and then you understand, then you accept, then you let go. But when we don't understand, we can't accept and we can't let go, so we react.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love talking about how we met.
Yeah.
And that it is not our own doing, because we think that it's our own doing. Because when I traveled to England, I was severely ill. I have no clue how I did it.
Yeah, I don't know how she did it.
I was wasn't able to sit up properly. My mind wasn't able to think properly because it was. You have to realize that the illness that I suffer from is like, if you ever seen a marathon runner just before the finishing line, letting go of all their bowel movements and their feces. Not that that is happening to me, but they also lose the control over their limbs. You see them, they swagger and they collapse and they try to get up again and they can't control their body anymore. That's what I have. When I have too much stress, and it can be too much of this talking, or an emotional stress, or too much laughing, or
I used to have to tell her to stop laughing.
Yeah, or exercise, because as soon as I'm strong enough, we do exercise. If I overdo that, I relapse and lose control over my body and mind. So those symptoms. But because of Ozay's support, continuous support, 24 hours, because sometimes the pain in my body becomes so tremendous, the burning in my body, that we have to get up at 5 o'clock and just walk, because I can't sit, I can't walk, lie down, and we walk if I am able to walk, because if I'm not able to walk, I need to depend on medication. But if I am able to walk, then we walk it off, and then we find a coffee somewhere, and black coffee helps me then, eases the pain. So we have learned a lot.
So what's the miracle then? The miracle for me.
The miracle is that I developed an illness to make it possible for me to come here. Because if I hadn't become ill, maybe something else would have happened. Because they always say, and I do see logic in that no matter what you try to steer your life to, if you are meant to end up there, you will end up there. And it's miraculous.
For me, the miracle was that I needed, I was going on a downward spiral after King passed away. And I needed to get out of myself. And the only way I could do that was by serving a better cause than myself.
And we reached the pinnacle.
Because it's painful. It's painful being in here, and you have to get out of here. And this is good advice to everyone out there. If you are miserable,
serve somebody else.
If you are suffering,
serve.
If you don't like your life, you want to know what it is? It's because you are about you.
Selfish.
And when you should be about her.
Serve somebody else.
You should be about him. So it helped her by
focusing on you.
And it helped me by being in her. And in retrospect, that is the seeds of a good relationship, is to serve the other.
That's where our happiness lies.
Sorry it's a long story, it may have got a bit boring for you, I don't know.
We always set out to do half-hour talks, but we never manage.
I personally like stories. I'm not sure if everyone is like me.
No.
I know you like stories too, but I like real stories, and today we've spoken. We could have spoken... And
open and honestly as well.
We could have spoken about something we learned and something we read from a book. Absolutely boring. You know what I mean? If you want a book, go to the freaking library and buy a book and get it from there.
Read some fiction,
And then copy somebody else's who's copied from somebody else who writes it in a book, who copies it from that book, who writes it in another book. And then it's all watered down shit. And what you're getting from a real story is a real life situation, and you can relate that to spirituality.
But we always
you can relate it to suffering, and you can relate it to enlightenment.
We always talk about experience, our own experience, not something we have learned from a book, and that's what our channel is about. That there is happiness within all of us, and it's up to us to find that and to project it upon the other, and you project it on me, and we're extremely happy.
I mean, you've got to look at me, right, for instance, and you must have sussed out by now if you've watched if you followed our videos, and you must have sussed out what a dickhead I am intellectually. I mean, I've looked at some of my videos and I think, what a dickhead!
What the wally!
And I miss out on intellectual knowledge, and I can see that it transpires into my what I speak about. Like sometimes I'm lost for words, and I'm lost for words because I'm not an intellectual person, but I know things, and I'm confident in my knowing, but I'm not confident in my intellect. And you'll see that along the way. And I claim enlightenment, and I speak about it as a witness. I don't ask anyone to believe me, but if you question me, I'll give you the answer in simple language. I won't give you Puranas, and I won't give you Vedas, and I won't give you all that freaking crap that people come up with.
You can't reel off any...
I'm telling you from my own direct experience in my own very, very simple and intellectual language, and that's what we offer you here. And we have real life serving situations, and that is what we are about. This channel is about that realness, and we hope to help the planet. Hopefully my life, because of the internet, and I saw this before I came into this body, that we were going to have this internet stuff, that we were going to have it much more easier to pass this information out. And I know that I came from a Tibetan lineages further down in my lifelines, and that we needed to keep this knowledge and to transport this knowledge into everyone out there, that the great Tibetan tree of enlightenment and the Bon tradition had been broken down, and it had been shaken, and all the seeds had fallen down all over the world, and that those trees were sprouting back up in various places, and that Celtic Buddhism and crazy wisdom is our lineage.
Yeah, that's a lineage that we are both recognized in, but that's something for another talk, because even that is miraculous.
Okay. Adio, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
We
Look at my
love
beautiful...
you
You
all.
are fantastic, you are.
Aww.
You are fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. See you in our next talk.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Adio.
Mwah.
1 hour, 21 minutes. That's long.
Like a drug, I am hooked on you. Sweeter than summer wine. Baby, just hold me tight. Like a drug, I am hooked on you.